Hey trainers, Alakaham here with some more Pokemon video magic, and this is some late night battles that I have played. I know that the Summer Cup Ultra League is about to wrap up, but I thought it might still be fun to see some games and for me to be able to talk through some of my process in playing the games. I have been able to climb a bit in the Ultra League Summer Cup, and I am running a double bug team, so bug types have a lot of play, especially because bug types that are available in this cup have really good cross-typing for the Pokemon that you're likely to encounter in the Summer Cup. And so I was running this with Tentacruel on the lead, and I was having some difficulty there, and I realized that's because I really need the water typing on Tentacruel in order to make this team work. And with a poison type fast move, I wasn't getting everything that I wanted out of that gameplay. So I switched to Greninja, and then I have Crustle, and I have a Genesect in the back, and my Genesect has a shock drive. So the first game here, I was just kind of testing the team out. I didn't really have a strong handle on the team just yet. And so you're going to see this first game is a little bit more rough. I'm going for broke by throwing the Technoblast here, and it does not quite KO the Typhlosion. So that means the Typhlosion has enough energy to throw a blast burn, and that's basically going to be game over. So I should have swapped out into one of my bug types against the Golem, but instead I used the Greninja when I didn't know whether or not I was going to need it against a fire type in the back. Okay, so we are going to see what we can do with this team now that I kind of have a swing of things, and we're going to again lead Greninja, and this time we hit an electric type up front, Belly Bolt, which is not great, so I'm going to safe swap into my Crustle, and I'm going to start throwing X-Scissors. Both of my bug types in the back have Fury Cutter, which is a move that received a pretty decent boost this season. My opponent is going to swap into their Golisopod, and that's okay by me because we have an energy advantage and a shield advantage, and I have rock-type moves, which are going to be super effective here. So this puts us in a pretty decent position. Fury Cutter charges energy really fast, and it looks like they're also running Fury Cutter. Sometimes Golisopod runs Shadow Claw. I run Shadow Claw on my Ultra League version of Golisopod, but that's all right. So they generate energy pretty fast, and an Aqua Jet would KO. I would really like to be able to maintain switch advantage here, so I'm going to go ahead and commit the shield, and then we are going to throw that Rock Blast and come back in against the Belly Bolt. I absolutely did not want Belly Bolt against Greninja, which is why I was willing to give up switch there. So I'm going to go ahead and come in with the Genesect now, and they have a fire type in the back. This is exactly why I needed to be swapping out of the Greninja in the case that I don't hit a fire type on the lead. That's the only way that this team really works, is if we catch the fire type in the back. So looks like my opponent did not have Disarming Voice, which would have been ideal for against the Greninja, but it's also not part of a standard moveset. Okay, so I am thinking that this is looking good, but of course my opponent is going to be able to ramp up their defense as we play, because Parabolic Charge is going to make the Belly Bolt a little more bulky, and they're doing quite a bit of damage with their fast move, but we do reach the X-Scissor with a healthy amount of space left. Well, the HP was a little further down than I expected, so we reached it right in time, and this double bug team does have some effectiveness here. It has some teeth. So we're going to keep playing, and once again using the same strategy. And I'm going to be swapping out of the Greninja because this is an ABB team, unless I hit the fire type on the front. That's going to be the plan. So we've got Greninja into Typhlosion, and we do hit the fire type up front. So we'll see if they go for the Thunder Punch or if they try and make a catch. I wait to make sure that they are not going to swap out, and then I throw the Night Slash, anticipating that they are going to shield, which they do. Now they have 3 Incinerates, and so they throw the Thunder Punch, and they need 1 more Incinerate to get to the next Thunder Punch. I go ahead and wait. I see the swap. They bring in a Swampert, which I don't have a really strong answer to, so I'm going to go ahead and do some chip damage. I'm going to tank this Hydro Cannon. Oh, but it turns out to be a Sludge. So that is really not what I wanted to happen here. At this point, I am just hoping that I can do some damage or take out this Swampert, because my Pokemon in the back really don't want to have to deal with Swampert either. So we get rid of the Swampert, and now I'm going to have to figure out what to do about this Typhlosion. We narrowly miss being able to throw the Night Slash. Fortunately, I have a shield, but I really need the Crustle in order, and the shield with the Crustle, right, in order to beat the Typhlosion, because we need to get to a Rock Slide. Fortunately, they have a Grass type in the back, and so that was going to be totally walled by our Genesect, and my opponent can tell where that's going, sees the writing on the wall, as the phrase goes in the community here, and they go ahead and give up the game. So good game to my opponent. That was a tough break coming up against a Genesect in the back, but that's kind of what I mean about the double bug strategy working well for me. And I have continued to use it since this set, and have continued to be able to climb a little bit as well. Not dramatically, but I am raising elo. So this team and the double bug strategy is working out nicely. It generates energy really fast with Fury Cutter. Dark types, Psychic types are all going to have challenges with this, so it works out pretty nicely. Okay, in this case, Swampert is going to be a real challenge for my bug types in the back, because Crustle doesn't really want to see anything with water type moves, and Genesect doesn't really want ground type moves. And Genesect is kind of glassy anyway. It doesn't have a lot of defense or bulk. So I anticipated that my opponent was going to swap, and I immediately went into my safe swap, which is Crustle, and my opponent has a Licky Licky. Licky Licky is going to be doing some pretty serious damage with the fast move here, and then it has access to a pretty broad moveset, so I'm interested to see what moves they're running. My opponent hasn't used a shield yet, so I'm thinking that I'm just going to risk seeing whatever move this is, and they do go for a Solar Beam. In my experience, that's kind of a lesser run move, but nevertheless, that's what they're running. So now I have to make a decision about what to do with the Genesect, and I don't want to get hit with a big nuke move, and it does look like they have a pretty big move with Shadow Ball there. So I gave up shield advantage, but I won switch, and I also was able to build up some energy on the Genesect. So I'm going to throw Technoblast because I have it, and just to make sure that they know that I have it. I really expected them to shield, and then I was just going to chip as much as I could and rely on Greninja having that extra move built up in the back, but they let the Technoblast through. And in fairness, it's difficult to know exactly what version of Technoblast you're going to be up against with a Genesect, because they have so many different drives. But mine, for this team, has a shock drive, because I was seeing so many Golisopod, frankly. All right, and then a very interesting situation here where my opponent starts with a Reshiram. I am used to seeing Reshiram in the Master League, not in the Ultra League. So I take a risk that my opponent might use an Aqua Jet, and they do not. They go for the X-Scissor, and both of us are using Fury Cutter. Both of us reach our moves at the same time, but I lose CMP. I go ahead and shield here, and my thought process is, even though it's unfortunate that I have to throw the energy, I want to be able to farm a little bit. Yeah, I get some energy, and I want switch advantage against the Reshiram because my Greninja can do okay against a Reshiram. I mean, I don't have any great, wonderful answer here, but Greninja can do pretty all right here. Genesect would be in big trouble because Genesect does not want anything to do with fire-type moves like Fusion Flare. So I know that Fusion Flare is going to be resisted, and I knew that they did not have enough energy to throw something bigger than that, like an Outrage. And so I let that move through, and my opponent has a Virizion in the back. I can do some nice neutral damage relying on X-Scissor here, but of course electric-type moves are going to be resisted. They threw Leaf Blade at the beginning, so I'm hoping it's going to be Leaf Blade again, but it turns out they do have Sacred Sword. So what I need to do is either KO with this X-Scissor or get their final shield, and I feel pretty good about being able to accomplish one of those two things. I do get the shield, and now I really need to throw as soon as I can. Unfortunately, they anticipated my move and they swapped out, so my Greninja is going to throw this Hydro Cannon against Reshiram, and then I'm going to farm down. I have 1 HP, but moves loaded, and the Night Slash is going to be resisted, just like Hydro Cannon, but Hydro does more raw damage. So I throw, and with 1 HP, I am able to knock out the Virizion. So for me, those were very exciting games, and this was pretty fun gameplay. I hope that you've enjoyed as well. If you did appreciate the video, I would love if you gave it a like and subscribe to the channel if you would like to see more games like this. I'll have more videos for you soon. Until next time, trainers.